Hi.
Hello, Joanne. Okay,
It's Monica.
we are live, and this is the June 15th meeting of the High Point City Council for those who are listening in. Before we begin, I would remind everybody, if you're speaking, please say your name before you speak so that the public knows who is talking. Try to remember to do that. Before we begin, I would invite everybody to stand for a moment of silence, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. Amen.
Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we go to the main agenda, I need to call the roll so we know who all is here. In present here at the conference room at City Hall are Councilman Holmes, Councilman Johnson, Councilman Jones, Councilman Jefferson, and I'm present, the Mayor Wagner. Councilwoman Peters, are you with us?
Here.
Okay, she's here. Councilman Moore, are you with us?
Here.
Councilman Williams?
Here.
And Councilman Hudson? He's not yet with us. We'll hopefully be informed when he arrives electronically. I have a couple of resolutions and proclamations that I would like to read in honor of a couple of historic events that are occurring. The first one is regarding Juneteenth. So I'll begin. Proclamation. Whereas nearly 150 years ago, Juneteenth National Freedom Day is the oldest African-American holiday observance in the United States. Also known as Emancipation Day, Emancipation Celebration, Freedom Day, Juneteenth. Juneteenth National Freedom Day commemorates the survival due to God-given strength and determination of African Americans who were first brought to this country as slaves. And whereas Juneteenth commemorates June 19th, 1865, the day freedom was proclaimed to all slaves in the South by Union General Granger in Galveston, Texas, more than 2.5 years after the signing of the Emancipation Proclamation by President Abraham Lincoln. And whereas Americans of all types share in the common love of and respect for freedom and equal opportunity, until all are free, none are free, is an often repeated maxim that can be used to highlight the significance of the end of the era of slavery in the United States. And whereas we recognize the significance of Juneteenth as an occasion to recognize this country's movement towards one America, advanced by a sincere dialogue of the realization of what Juneteenth historically means to all Americans, promoting racial healing, equal opportunity, and justice for all. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Jay Wagner, Mayor of the City of High Point, hereby proclaim June 19th, 2020 as Juneteenth Independence Day in the City of High Point, and encourage the community to participate in the activities planned to commemorate this historic event. Second proclamation is regarding the 245th birthday of the United States Army. Whereas on June 14th, 1775, the Second Continental Congress, representing the citizens of 13 American colonies, authorized the establishment of the Continental Army. And whereas the collective expression of the pursuit of personal freedom that caused the authorization and organization of the United States Army led to the adoption of the Declaration of Independence and the codification of the nation's new basic principles and values in the Constitution. And whereas for the past 245 years, the United States Army's central mission has been to fight and win the nation's wars. And whereas the motto of duty, honor, country is the creed by which the American soldier lives and serves. And whereas no matter what the cause, location, or magnitude of future conflicts, the nation can rely on the U.S. Army to produce well-trained, well-led, and highly motivated soldiers to carry out the missions entrusted to them. And whereas the components of the U.S. Army, to include the North Carolina Army National Guard, the U.S. Army Reserves, and the regular Army, have contributed immensely to COVID-19 response. And whereas members of the city of High Point have proudly served and made the ultimate sacrifice for our nation's freedom while serving in the United States Army and other branches of our nation's military. Now therefore, I, J.W. Wagner, Mayor of the city of High Point, North Carolina, do hereby proclaim June 14th, 2020 to be United States Army's 245th birthday, expressing appreciation on behalf of the people of High Point, to the United States Army, and to the dedicated soldiers who have served in it over the 245 years it has been in existence. Okay. So those two proclamations are now finished, and this is not a meeting where we have a public comment period, so we'll go ahead and move into our agenda items. The first agenda section is the Finance Committee items, and for that I will turn the meeting over to Councilmember Britt Moore, who is the chair of the Finance Committee.
Thank you, Mayor Wagner. This is Britt Moore, and we did meet at our regularly appointed Thursday prior to our council meeting to review the agendas, or the items on the finance agenda that are before you in your packet. All members of finance were able to ask questions and either be there physically or by remote, so it was fully attended. The items listed are 2020-129 that runs consecutively through 2020-207, and we present this to full council as a consent agenda for approval.
Okay, there's a motion for approval of the consent agenda items under finance. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second by Councilman Michael Holmes. Is there any discussion on the finance consent items? Okay, hearing none, then I will call the roll. Please indicate your vote as aye or nay. Councilman Holmes.
Aye.
Councilman Johnson.
Aye.
Councilwoman Peters.
Aye.
Councilman Moore.
Aye.
Councilman Williams.
Aye.
Councilman Hudson, is he with us yet? Councilman Hudson, you
Yes.
with us? Are you an aye?
Yes, aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Councilman Jones?
Aye.
Councilman Jefferson?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye, so that motion to approve is approved by a vote of 9-0. Back to you, Councilman Moore.
All right, thank you. Yes, and Mayor Wagner, today is the date that is set for the public hearing, which is Monday, June the 15th, obviously, and that is the date and time to receive public comments on the proposed fiscal year budget of 2020-2021 for the High Point annual budget. And at this time, I'm going to open the public comment period, and obviously that is a different and unique animal in the time that we're dealing with the way we're having to follow the guidelines set for our meetings and with all not being able to be there. But I would like to say for the record and to those that are listening that over the last several days we have received public comments in several different forms, whether they were text messages, emails, voicemails, and all of those have been disseminated to the council for review and have been entered into the public record. So with that, unless Madam Attorney or anybody can guide me through these uncharted waters any differently, if there's nothing else to add to the public comment, I will note again that we have heard the comments and I will move to close the meeting. Public hearing.
Okay, so I think the public hearing has been properly opened, the comments have been received, and the public hearing has been closed. All right, so next,
Okay,
anything else for finance, Mr. Moore?
That's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Moore. Next item on the next section of the agenda then will be.
Somebody had a question, man.
What?
Somebody was trying to chime in.
Somebody had a question?
Yes, this is Councilwoman Peters.
Yes.
Can we just say, so that people know, some people might not know, where exactly they can go to the website so that they can actually read those comments themselves?
Madam Clerk, will the public be able to access the comments?
They are not currently on the website. I'll have to get Ron and his team to get them on there.
Okay. In case you couldn't hear, they're not currently on the website, but we have the capability of putting the comments on the website, and we'll do so.
And it would be under highpointnc.gov, public comments, June 15th meeting. Is that what they would search for?
I'm not exactly sure.
We'll get the information.
Yeah, we'll be able to get that information out to the public as to exactly what the website address will be to be able to access them.
Either way, wouldn't it be in the minutes to approve at the next council meeting?
It will be.
And the comments will also be in the minutes that are approved for this meeting as well. And those are published in the minutes section on the website.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll now move to the Community Development Committee section of the agenda, and for that, I'll turn the meeting over to the Mayor Pro Tem.
The 2019 and 2020 annual action plan. I'm not sure if Mike is here.
Yes, sir. Mike is here and ready to go.
Okay, I'll turn the floor over to Mike.
Thanks, sir. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This is a bit of a follow-up action. Back on May 4th, you approved an appropriation of the funds that go into this amendment because HUD had said the funds were available immediately. But what we have to do is to go through another step to actually have a public hearing and then ask you to adopt the plan. Excuse me. As you recall, we received a special allocation. We were notified of a special allocation from HUD out of the CARES Act. And this allocation requires us to amend our action plan and amend our citizen participation plan. So the funding in the plan must be, as you would expect, must be consistent with dealing with the impacts of the coronavirus. So you have to respond, prevent, and prepare for impacts in the community. Now, since you have authorized us to go forward with the funding, the CAC has been acting on these funds that have actually been awarding grants, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But you can see the types of projects that this might be addressed. The funds have to be expended by September 30, 2021. Just an example of some eligible activities: service to assist families, homeless services, Meals on Wheels, things of that nature, but things that are, again, are responding to the virus. So people that are having food issues, may have rent issues, they can be addressed through that. This is the budget in the plan. You noted that it says updated. I think you were aware that the United Way had declined the award that we had offered to them. And they were concerned about some of the issues they had coming at them. I don't know if you saw it or not. The county released $1 million in funding that they're going to be intimately involved in. So it's kind of, it felt like their staff capacity would be impacted. So we took those funds and put it back into the public service pot. The CAC has already allocated $225,186. So we're actually coming towards the end of that particular component. We set aside $200,000 for CDBG-CB eligible activities that have yet to be defined. Have some ideas, but we don't want to spend all the money in the first 3 months and then getting to 2021, we don't have any. Now, also, there's gonna be another allocation. We think it's gonna be in the fall. In the CARES Act, there was actually 3 components to CDBG. It was $2 billion, which is what this, our share of that is. $1 billion went to the state, and then another $2 billion is based on risk factors. And that formula hasn't been created yet. We don't know what it means. But if you look at all the stats, it looks like we're in the upper third nationally as far as our cases. So we may fare well. We certainly should point up higher than South Dakota or, Montana or someplace like that. But for at least things stay where they are. So that's the budget and the plan. And I just wanted to, actually, I'm done. I just wanted to kind of go through that. Do you have any questions for me? Because I didn't want to tie you up, because you've seen most of the stuff already.
Any questions from any council members who are not in the room or Mr. McNair?
I have one. This is Britt Moore. Mike, say again, I did read it, but for clarity, why did the United Way back down from the offer? But you explained a little bit, but can you elaborate? I know there's money coming through the county. Do they feel like that they would be penalized or cut short from that pot if they took ours?
It was a combination of, these funds are pretty difficult to administer, pretty complicated. And it's one thing to be a recipient of the funds. It's another thing to be a fiscal agent. That's what we were asking them to do, was actually monitor the people that were approved. And they felt like that, combined with the funds that was coming from the county, would overtask their staff capacity. And they just decided it was in their best interest not to do that. And we assured them there was no hard feelings and our relationship remained strong, and so.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone?
All right.
Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, I was just going to move on.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Mike. I guess now will be the time that I open up for the public hearing portion. And as the situation as it stands, any public comments should have been submitted by the standard set before by this council. So I say this should be the time that any comments that are there should be submitted into public record. And then we will close the public hearing section if those can go ahead.
The clerk has indicated that we have not received any comments for the public hearing.
Okay, very good. So with that closed, I guess we will entertain a motion I'll make the motion to approve item, hold on, I'm sorry, my screen went dead. Hang on. Item 2020-209 Public Hearing Amendment CDBG 2019-2020.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Turner Johnson. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, I will now call the roll. Please indicate your aye or nay vote. Councilman Holmes?
Aye.
Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peters?
Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams?
All right.
Councilman Hudson?
Aye.
Councilman Jones?
Aye.
Councilman Jefferson?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye, so that motion is approved by a vote of 9-0.
That's all I have.
Councilman Williams, that's all you got. Okay. We'll now move to the general business agenda. There were several public or Parks and Rec and other appointments to be made. What I'd like to do, we've actually got a couple items to also amend the agenda and add, but I thought we would go ahead and do these 2 reappointments first, and then we'll get into those. Councilwoman Peters, the first reappointment is Robert Davis to the Parks and Rec Commission. Would you like to speak to that?
You know what? He's done a really fabulous job, and Lee Tillery and I spoke. He knows what he's doing. He loves this position, and so I'm honored to reappoint him.
Okay. Is that a motion?
That is a motion to reappoint Bob Davis to that position.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Cyril Jefferson. Is there any discussion on this reappointment? Okay, not hearing any. Now call the roll. Councilman Holmes?
Aye.
Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peters?
Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams?
Aye.
Councilman Hudson?
Aye.
Councilman Jones?
Aye.
Councilman Jefferson?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye, so that motion is approved by a vote of 9-0. Next is Councilmember Moore's at-large appointment of Eric Abels, also for Parks and Rec. Councilman Moore, would you like to speak to that?
I would just like to say that I look forward to Eric's efforts. He's worked very hard in many areas of the city. Most folks know him, I believe, on council, and was pleased to see his application in when we were looking. So I will recommend, make a motion that Eric Abels be appointed to be effective July 1, 2020 and expire July 1, 2023.
Okay, that motion is entered and seconded by Councilman Jefferson. Is there any discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, call the roll. Councilman Holmes?
Aye.
Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peters?
Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams?
Aye.
Councilman Hudson?
Aye.
Councilman Jones?
Aye.
Councilman Jefferson?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. The motion is approved 9-0. All right. There are two items that need to be added to the agenda. And so I will make a motion to suspend the rules to add an appointment to the Planning and Zoning Commission of Alex Moore, and also to add an item approving the memorandum of agreement between the City of High Point City Council and our interim city manager, Randy McCaslin. So that's a motion to suspend the rules to add those two items. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Councilman Johnson. Is there any discussion before we vote? Okay, hearing none. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peters?
Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Councilman, or Mayor Pro Tem Williams?
Aye.
Councilman Hudson?
Aye.
Councilman Jones?
Aye.
Councilman Jefferson?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye, so that motion is approved by a vote of 9-0. The first one is the appointment of Alex Moore. Alex Moore to the Planning and Zoning Commission. He will be filling Marie Stone's term that is set to expire July 1, 2020. So this one would be, this appointment would be effective July 1, 2020 and expiring on July 1, 2023. And I believe this is Councilman Jefferson's appointment, so would you like to speak to that?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, thank you. First, I'd like to say a big thank you to Ms. Stone, who served on this commission for a number of years, did a phenomenal job, and in her place, or at least in following her, will be, I think, another great candidate in Mr. Alex Moore. Someone who's been a longtime member of the High Point community. His experience and what he's done in business, I think, would be great. Brings a great background to the conversation, and someone who's very excited to aid in our city's sustainable growth. So I'd like to make a motion that effective July 1, 2020, that Alex Moore be appointed to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
There's a motion, is there a second?
Second.
I think Monica beat you. Monica Peters on the second one on that. I would like to take this time also to thank Marie Stone. She has served this city for a very long time. In fact, I spent 7 years on planning and zoning prior to being elected in 2012, and she was on the planning and zoning board way back when, and I think even preceding my time. A guy like George Holbrook could probably tell you how long Marie Stone has been serving off and on planning and zoning commission. So Thank you, Marie, for all you've done. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak? Okay, hearing none, I'll call the roll. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peters?
Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams?
Aye.
Councilman Hudson?
Aye.
Councilman Jones?
Aye.
Councilman Jefferson?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye, so that appointment is approved by a vote of 9-0. Next is the approval of the interim city manager's contract with Randy McCaslin. Council was briefed on this item earlier during a personnel closed session, and we feel that we've come to comfortable terms with our interim city manager, and I make a motion for approval of this item.
Second.
Okay, Cyril Jefferson gets the second on that, and is there any discussion?
I'll say that we're looking forward to working. I'll defer.
Okay, Monica, we're going to defer to you. Let you go first. Go ahead, Monica. You have the floor.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to say that I'm just so honored and blessed to be able to serve on a term of city council with Randy McCaslin as the interim city manager. He's really devoted his life to our city, and it's his hometown, and I'm just very happy that he is committed to this High Point.
And Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind.
Cyril, you have the floor.
Councilman Jefferson, I love to echo those sentiments. I think the McCaslin family has generations of serving the city of High Point, and the fact that you bleed High Point, whatever the color of High Point is, I'm sure Dr. Manning said it's purple, but you bleed High Point's colors, and we just appreciate this opportunity to work with you, and look forward to the months and years to come.
Okay, anyone else who'd like to speak regarding the contract? The contract will be made available after approval, if anyone wants to see it. Okay, Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peters?
Hold on. Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams?
Aye.
Councilman Hudson?
Aye.
Councilman Jones?
Aye.
And Councilman Jefferson?
Aye.
And the mayor votes aye. So that interim city manager's contract is approved by a vote of 9-0. Next on the agenda is some minutes to be approved. Is there anyone who has any corrections to those minutes listed? If not,
Jay,
go ahead, Monica.
Okay, I was getting a text from a constituent saying that the live streaming ended right after we talked about the public comments. So anyway, I just wanted to let people know that it stopped. So anyway, that's it.
We're still up and running.
Yeah, according to Jerron, we're still up and running. It may have been a problem on that person's end. Jerron says we haven't had any problems.
Not that I've seen, but this,
Okay.
a copy of this is.
It's still showing. I'm running it on a separate screen. It's still showing here.
Okay, and regardless, this is something that people can pull up and listen to later. So even if they got cut off, they can still go back in and hear it. Okay, I won't make the motion then to approve the minutes as presented. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Tyrone Johnson. Any comments on the minutes? Okay, hearing none. Councilman Holmes, how do you vote?
Aye.
Councilman Johnson?
Aye.
Councilwoman Peters?
Aye.
Councilman Moore?
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams?
Aye.
Councilman Hudson?
Aye.
Councilman Jones?
Aye.
And Councilman Jefferson?
Aye.
And Mayor votes aye, so those minutes are approved by a vote of 9-0. If there's nothing else, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Okay, it's been moved by Councilman Jefferson, I believe seconded by
Yes.
Councilman Johnson to adjourn. Last chance, anybody got anything to say? Okay, hearing nothing, I'll call the roll. Councilman Holmes,
Aye.
Councilman Johnson. Aye. Councilwoman Peters,
Aye.
Councilman Moore,
Aye.
Mayor Pro Tem Williams,
Aye.
Councilman Hudson,
Aye.
Councilman Jones,
Aye.
Councilman Jefferson.
Aye.
And Mayor votes aye, so by vote 9-0, City Council meeting June 14th is hereby adjourned.